Do you remember PSA? PSA was a United States airline that operated from 1949 to 1988. It was the first large discount airline in the United States. Welcome to Eric C. Productions. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, please hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so that you get notified of my latest video that are posted daily. Thanks for watching, and please make a comment or a suggestion for a future video. Thanks for watching, and now back to the program.
It takes getting up early, ahead of the rest. It takes moving faster and being the best. To make you smile, we know we gotta be tough. When it's a matter of pride, enough is never enough. You know what it takes to go that extra mile, so we gotta be tough to make you smile. Catch our smile, yeah.
Kenny Friedkin founded the airline in 1949 with a $1,000 a month leased Douglas DC-3. Friedkin obtained information from a travel agent upon starting the airline due to lessons learned from a failed precursor airline, Friedkin Airlines. The DC-3 began a weekly round trip from San Diego to Oakland via Burbank. Reservations were initially taken at a World War II surplus latrine retrofitted as a ticket office. PSA was known for its sense of humor. Founder Ken Friedkin wore Hawaiian shirts and encouraged his pilots and stewardess to joke with the passengers. In late 1955, PSA replaced the DC-3s with two Douglas DC-4s from Capital Airlines. In 1958, PSA's fare from Burbank to San Francisco was $9.99. Late in 1959, PSA began flying Lockheed L-188 Electras with 92 seats and a 6-seat lounge, replacing the 70-seat DC-4s. In 1963, it got its 6th Electra, and by then, it carried more passengers between the Bay Area and Los Angeles than any other airline. Total PSA passengers climbed from 355,000 in 1959 to 1.3 million in 1963 to 5.1 million in 1970. Its slogan was "The World's Friendliest Airline," and its recognizable trademark was a smile painted on the nose of each plane and an accompanying advertising campaign declaring, "Catch our smile." In 1966, PSA started flying to San Jose. In 1967, to Sacramento Executive Airport. In the late 1960s and early 70s, PSA began to fly into Sacramento International Airport, Ontario, Long Beach, Fresno, and Stockton. Because of the major San Diego flight schedule and its discount fares, military personnel nicknamed PSA the Poor Sailors Airline. In the 1960s, PSA was known for the brightly colored flight attendant uniforms with miniskirts. PSA was one of the sponsors of the dating game TV show on ABC from 1965 to 1973. On January 15, 1969, a PSA Boeing 727 collided with a Cessna 182 while it was climbing to its cruising altitude. Both planes were slightly damaged. Management diversified in the early 1970s into a broadcasting venture called PSA Broadcasting. Radio stations were purchased in Sacramento, San Jose, Los Angeles, and San Diego. All were easy listening formats. The idea was to keep some of the airline's advertising dollars within the broadcasting company, as well as collect some co-op advertising for business doing business with the airline. These stations were sold in the late 1970s. In the early 1970s, the bright-colored flight attendant uniform changed to hot pants. On January 7, 1972, PSA 902 flight from San Francisco to Los Angeles was hijacked to Cuba. The captain negotiated the release of the passengers in Los Angeles, and the hijackers, armed with a shotgun and other arms, were taken to Cuba with a fueling stop in Tampa, where they released custody of the aircraft back to the captain. 3 flight attendants and 3 off-duty flight attendants were not released with the passengers and accompanied the flight to Cuba. July 5, 1972, PSA Flight 710 from Sacramento to San Francisco was hijacked with demands to fly to the Soviet Union. The plane was stormed while on the ground at San Francisco, resulting in the deaths of 1 passenger and 2 hijackers. One of the passengers who survived being shot in the back was actor Victor San-Young, best known as Hop Singh from the Bonanza television series. In 1974, a PSA NAMC YS-11 trainer crashed in the desert near Borrego Springs, California. On September 25, 1978, PSA Flight 182 crashed in San Diego while trying to land at San Diego International Airport after colliding with a Cessna 172. The 727 crashed at the intersection of Dwight and Nile. The Cessna fell a few blocks away. All 135 aboard the PSA flight were killed, as were 2 in the Cessna and 7 on the ground. At the time, it was the deadliest airplane crash in U.S. history. It remains the worst mid-air collision in the United States. On May 1, 1980, PSA Flight 818, flying from Stockton to Los Angeles, was hijacked prior to passenger boarding. The hijacker demanded to be taken to Iran, but was overpowered several hours later by sole hostage Alan Romadowski, the flight engineer left on board the aircraft. After airline deregulation, PSA expanded beyond California to Reno, Las Vegas, Salt Lake City, Phoenix, Tucson, and Albuquerque. Its first flight beyond California was Oakland to Reno in December 1978. PSA briefly flew to Cabo San Lucas in Mexico. When PSA's plan to buy the assets of Braniff International Airways fell through, the airline expanded its network north to Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. PSA held a Name the Plane contest, publicized in full-page newspaper advertisements to name the fleet, with the prize being a private flight for the winner and 99 friends. The winning entry was Smileliner, submitted by Dr. Hugh Jordan of Whittier. In 1987, PSA merged with US Air. On December 7, 1987, PSA Flight 1771, bound for San Francisco International Airport from Los Angeles International Airport, was airborne above the central coast of California when it suddenly entered a high-speed nosedive and crashed on a cattle ranch in San Luis Obispo County. There were no survivors among the 43 aboard, 38 passengers and 5 crew. Investigations determined that David Burke, a former employee of US Air, which had recently acquired PSA, had been fired for theft. He had armed himself and boarded the flight, which was carrying his former manager. After writing a note on his air sickness bag, Burke then shot his ex-manager, a flight attendant, both pilots, and the airline's chief pilot. After shooting the pilots, Burke pushed down on the control column, causing it to enter into a dive that led the plane to crash into the ground. PSA's last flight was on April 8, 1988. Hey, you just watched my video. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button and please subscribe to Eric C. Productions.